having a great Saturday night, and we thank you for joining us for the QRU Virtual Public Health Campaign 2021.
Sugar provides us with energy to perform our daily tasks. Too much sugar is detrimental to our health. The same is true if you have low blood sugar. Joining us tonight, we have Dr. Chin, who is a medical doctor from University Malaya Medical Center, and Miss Lim, who is a nurse in Singapore Hospital, who will be clarifying on when to say no to sugar. I proudly welcome Dr. Chin and Miss Lim.
Hi. Can everyone hear me? And let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, miss, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Okay, thanks, Calvin and Joey, for the good introduction. My name is Benji. Okay, so I'm also Malaysian, but I'm currently working as a cardio ICU nurse in one of the Singapore hospitals. So today, my partner and I, Dr. Kimi, okay, will be sharing with you when to say no to sugar. Okay, so let's look into what we are going to cover today. First, we are going to look into carbohydrates and their function. Actually, many people, right, when they talk about sugar, a lot of them actually couldn't really connect carbohydrates actually contains a lot of sugar. They couldn't really connect what is the relationship between carbohydrates and sugar, but in fact, carbohydrates contain sugar. Okay, so we are also going to look into how actually sugar could do to our body. Okay, and we are going to look into types of carbohydrate and also glycemic index as well. Next, Dr. Simi will also bring us to look into obesity and also diabetes. And then we're going to also look into healthy tips for healthy carbohydrates and also the 6 pillars of optimal health as well. So the first one is that we're going to look into carbohydrates and their function. I know that actually a lot of you actually came from this medical science background. So carbohydrates may seem to be something that you think you know about it, okay? But as I come out to actually work, I realized that actually many people do not really realize the importance of how to actually choose a good carbohydrate. So let's go back to the basics to look into what is carbohydrates and what do they do to our body. Before that, we're going to understand first what are the 8 main nutrients. So in order for a human being, okay, to actually be healthy, we require these 8 main nutrients in our body. So first, we are going to look into good water. Not sure whether we still remember or not, but 70 to 80% of our body is actually made up from water. So we need good water to actually help us to deliver nutrients and also to help us to actually excrete out the toxic from our body as well. The second thing is that we require macronutrients. Macro in the sense that we require in a large amount. So macronutrients help us to maintain a good body and also help us to survive. Okay. So under macronutrients, we have the components of protein, carbohydrates, and also fats. So next, in order for us to not just only survive, but able to actually function healthily and also be well, not getting sick, we require macronutrients. So micronutrients meaning that we require very minimal amount, but they are actually very crucial in maintaining our overall health. Okay, so under macronutrients, we actually have vitamins and also minerals as well. And subsequently, we also have fiber and also phytonutrients that help us to ensure that we are actually able to achieve optimal health. And today, we are going to focus on carbohydrates. Okay, so before that, let's understand after we have consumed carbohydrates, okay, which is very common in the Asian context, which is rice. Okay, so after we have eaten a bowl of rice, so what will happen is that it will be broken down and digested into simple sugar. Okay, so all the simple sugars such as glucose, fructose, galactose, it will be absorbed in your small intestine, okay, into your bloodstream. So this will actually cause blood sugar rise, and this will actually send the sensor, okay, then the message to one of our organ in the body, which is called it as pancreas. Pancreas itself, right, the main function actually helps to secrete this substance named as insulin. Okay, but insulin, right, it serves as the purpose like a key. Okay, so when your cells are all hungry, it gives us the message to actually want to eat rice. Okay, when we come to eat rice and eat our food and being digested into a simple sugar, it will be detected by the pancreas and secrete the insulin. Okay, so insulin is like the key. It will have to open up the door at your cells to bring in the glucose into your cells. So from there onwards, you feel you are energetic, and then you actually feel that you're actually more alert and you can actually continue to work again. So otherwise, when you have extra carbohydrate in your body, it will be stored as a glycogen or either stored as fats as well. Okay. So after that, so just a recap, carbohydrate gives you energy. Okay. So not only that, carbohydrate is so very important. And why is that so? It is required as a macronutrient because glucose and grains they work together. Okay, because 30% to 90% of the sugar for our brain itself is actually sourced from the glucose, making it as a main fuel for our brain. So in order for our brain to function well, we need glucose. That's why sugar is so important. But we're going to look into to what extent we should be taking our sugar, our carbohydrate, and also what type of carbohydrates that we should be taking. Okay, so we are going to look into all carbohydrates they born equal and what is glycemic index. So there are two types of carbohydrate. Okay, so when people ask you, it's not so difficult. There are just two types. It's the simple one and the complex one. So the simple one, and just here you can see some very direct examples are donuts, chewing gums, Coca-Cola, or also some of the breakfast that we used to take when we were a kid. Okay, like a Frosties, Cocoa Crunch, or either cookies, milk chocolate, or even juices. Okay. And why are they bad? Because they are actually low in fiber and nutrients and high glycemic index, which we will talk about it later. Okay. On the other side, you can actually see the complex carbohydrates, which is the more complex carbohydrate. Okay. So the examples are sweet potatoes. Okay, your wholemeal bread, your fruits, your vegetables, or even your oats. Okay. So why are they considered as a good carbohydrate? When comparing these two photos, what you can see is that complex carbohydrates are actually mainly the original food, meaning the whole food itself. Okay, they have not added any other ingredients or they actually have not been processed in a simple way. Okay, but rather if you look at the simple carbohydrates, they are the one that have been processed and being added on many other things like colorings or even sugar, okay, or even other shortenings, okay, or even other components, okay, to actually make it tastier, crunchier, okay. So complex carbohydrates is better, okay, because they are also high in fiber and nutrients and also have a low glycemic index as well. Okay, so just now we talked about after we have consumed the carbohydrates, how it is being digested and broken down, right? So this is another example. So why people always say that refined and simple carbohydrates are bad? Okay, that is because if comparison, if we are taking a complex carbohydrate, for example, like the brown rice, okay, because of its complexity inside the rice itself, right, because of its complexity, so that's why it requires a longer time to actually break them down. To break them down, and this will actually cause a slow and gradual increase in the blood sugar. Whereas on the other side, if let's say you are taking a simple sugar like a donut, okay, which are already in the form of glucose, fructose, galactose, this will actually cause a quick spike in the blood sugar. Okay, so after some time already, this will actually cause extra stress on the pancreas itself because you have to keep on secreting insulin. Okay, so just how we mentioned so many times about glycemic index, right? Okay, so what exactly is a glycemic index? And this is how it actually able to affect our blood glucose levels. Okay, so the higher the glycemic index, okay, the faster it is to actually bring up our sugar. So you can see that actually over here there are different categories starting from 0 to 10, 10 to 30, and up to 100. As comparison, from what you can see from all those examples, you can see the last two, the green components, green category, right? they're actually mainly made up from all those whole food things that they have not been processed. But rather on the top one, the higher the glycemic index one, are actually those that has been processed. For example, like your donuts, your ice cream, okay, they are yummy, but then they actually increase your blood sugar like nobody's business. There's also another very classical high GI food as well. It's actually your fruit juices without fiber. Okay, that a lot of people likes to actually go over to the counter to go to 7-Eleven to actually buy it, which we claim that it's actually healthier choice as comparing to choosing a soda. Okay, yes, it is, but without fiber, it's actually giving you a high GI as well. So what happens is that especially do you realize when you are in stress or especially when you are tired, you feel that you are sleepy, right? So when you are tired, you tend to crave for something very sweet. Okay, so what happens is that this impulsive kind of feeling itself, right? If you never really put a thought on it and you choose like a donut, okay, or even fries, okay, so it will actually cause a quick spike in the blood sugar. Okay. So a quick spike in your blood sugar, it will make you feel energetic and comfortable at that point of time. But then later on, it will be like the roller coaster. You'll soon come down very fast, and then you'll feel like you're tired again. And how do you able to actually overcome this problem is that you tend to eat again. And then this will actually cause an addiction and up and down, up and down. So what will happen then later on? We will let Dr. Simi to actually tell you more about it. Let us put our hands together to welcome Dr. Simi.
Hi. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to Quest University for inviting us to join all of you tonight. I'm very happy to be back. I was actually in your public health campaign last year, and then I'm very happy that my best friend, which is going to be joining me today, because you will know later why she is so important in this section. Her main section comes after me. Okay, so I think Wenjing did, before I need to thank all the lecturers from Quest University for the opportunity, and also not to forget Iris and Brandon for all the arrangement. They have been very helpful and amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, and I believe Wenjing has given an amazing introduction on the basic thing you need to know about carbohydrates, which is the sugar that we are talking about. Before understanding the disease or anything, I believe since all of you are students, right, a lot of you are students right here, we need to understand the kind of like the anatomy, the basic of what is carbohydrate base. And I guess a lot of you are quite familiar on it, but I think it's a good recap and also a good reminder about glycemic index. Okay, just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Simi. I'm currently a medical doctor in University Malaya Medical Center, UMMC. Okay, and then Wenjing and I, we are also and a group of our friends who is in the medical or healthcare related field. We are also co-managing kind of like a nutrition platform called Health Diary 365. Okay, so I will take on after Wenjing next. Okay, the first one I will today we'll be covering on two main non-communicable disease, which is the modern disease that is so common nowadays. We see in almost all our patients in hospital. So it's obesity and also diabetes. Okay, so first I will cover first on obesity. Okay, so how does obesity come into picture? Okay, just now Wenjing mentioned about carbohydrate. Okay, and then we are all, I think all of us know that a lot of our conversions of glucose and the storage of the glucose form, which is glycogen, happens in the liver. So the liver not only store glucose, they produce glucose too, which means when you don't have enough glucose circulating in your body, the glycogen will be converted back into glucose. Okay, but what if there is excess sugar in your body? Okay, so when you have excess sugar in your body, unfortunately, which is a bad news, they are converted and stored as fat in our body. And then the terrible part is with recent research coming up, a lot of them are actually particularly stored around our organs. So we call them visceral adipose tissue. So yes, a lot of your sugars, which is carbohydrates that you take in excess, comes to become your visceral adipose tissue in our body. And does excess sugar come common in our life? Or no, I don't take excess sugar, like people will say. I think I just take just the right portion, just nam nam. But are we Malaysians really numb? Okay, next. Okay, so let's look at the stats. Okay, the statistics tell us that unfortunately among Southeast Asia, we are the top number one. Not very proud of that, but yes, we are the top in Southeast Asia as being the most obese in the Asian country. Okay, and the scary thing is that among our number, that means among us, 30.4% of us are overweight. And around 20% of us are obese. I mean, in 10, 2 will be obese, and then 3 will be overweight. Okay? And it's particularly high among women, and also those aged around 50 to 59. So have you heard about the saying like auntie will say, actually, I don't even eat nowadays. If I breathe, then I will get fat. Yes, that's the story, unfortunately. Okay? And then also, the scary part is that childhood obesity is very prevalent in Malaysia, and we are the second highest in Asia. So what we need to know about this statistics is that it doesn't only affect the adults, it's affecting our children. Okay, and obesity has also nearly tripled since 1975. So do you think it's only purely genetic? A lot of them say I have the gene, but because humans, you know, your grandma is having the same gene as you, but why did the stats triple since 1975? It's because a lot of it, they concluded that it has to do with a lot with our food, our physical activity, our stress, and our environment that we are in. Okay, and why does Malaysia, especially if you can see the second highest one will be Thailand, you know, why are they particularly high next? Research among KKM has come into the conclusion that it may be something to do with the diet and with the added kilogram every year. So yes, everyone, a kilogram a year actually do really add on. Okay, and WHO has classified obesity as a chronic disease. So in fact, I just want to tell you that it's not only a chronic disease. From our hospital experience, it's the mother of all diseases. And why do we say so? Next. You will notice that I always tell my patients, okay, especially those young children that come into me and then they are overweight. A lot of their parents think that being overweight is fine, that means they are eating well. Okay, actually, we did discuss about this topic very thoroughly in Health Diet 365. If you're interested, do have a look in our Facebook or Instagram. We did discuss about this. And they come in with the impression that I'm feeding my child well. They can eat 3 bowls of rice, you know, especially when you eat with your grandma. When you say you need extra rice, they are particularly happy because this is a sign that their cooking is good, you know. And as their children or their grandchildren, we feel obliged to add on rice, you know, because if we don't add on, it means that we are not enjoying your food. But what I want to tell you that maybe next time instead of adding on rice, you want to consider adding on vegetable, and then you can tell your grandma that, oh, grandma, I particularly enjoy your veggie, it's very nice. I think that will be a better choice, unfortunately. But a lot of parents come with the impression saying that, oh yes, I feed my child well. But what I would like to convey to the parents is that being obese and not feeding them with the right diet actually make them have the habit of eating excessively and not eating the right food. And obesity is so scary that they are the mother of all diseases. And imagine if they are obese since young. So we have to curb it since when they are young. And what do you mean by mother of all diseases? I always tell my patients, you have 5 diseases that come together. We start with the first best friend, which is obese, high body fat percentage. Once this comes, the 4 other friends will come concurrently. The first one will be high blood sugar, diabetes. Some may present with high blood pressure first, hypertension. Some will come with high uric acid, which is gout. And then another one will come in with high cholesterol, so which is dyslipidemia. So all of them normally start off with something that doesn't seem very serious, and they may thought that they're feeding their children well, which is obesity. So is it a threat to your health? Unfortunately, it is. Obesity is very vastly interrelated. A lot of people are very worried about cancer. Okay, they are very worried about, you know, certain lung diseases, COPD, asthma, but they don't see that. They think that obese is something not harmful because they can change it. But can we really change it? It may not be as simple as what we think. Yes, we can change it, but Actually, to cut your weight or body fat down is not as easy as what we think. It requires a lot of effort, dedication, and also knowledge. And they are interlinked with a lot of kidney, liver. You see how extensive they go. They go from your kidney to your liver, your blood pressure with your vascular system. They go to your heart, they go to your brain, disease and stroke. Okay, they even affect your bone, osteoarthritis, and then you will have sleep apnea, which will severely affect your sleep, which in turn causes you to have more stress and lead you to other diseases. And it's even interlinked with certain types of cancer. So this is how vastly connected obesity can be. Next. And just now when we mentioned earlier, we mentioned about the blood sugar roller coaster. So how I particularly want to highlight the link of obesity with diabetes. And why? Because when a person is obese normally, we will say a lot of them, I would say around 80% of them is something to do with their eating habit. Okay? And their eating habits are vastly connected with eating a lot of carbohydrates, especially us Malaysians. Unfortunately, in order to look for high protein, low carb food in the Malaysia setting, we require knowledge and effort to do so. You need to be actively seeking for it. Because if you don't, you will probably end up with a nasi lemak from the gerai beside the road, or you may end up with roti canai or banh mi or wanton mee char kway teow from the hawker store opposite the road. Because they just come so easily that if you don't take the effort to look for something healthier or more protein based, it's difficult to find them. Okay, and why are they bad? Because this carbohydrate normally comes in simple sugar form, which what Wenjing has highlighted just now. Simple sugar will cause blood sugar spike easily, and then they have a spike easily, and then they just disappear very quickly from your blood circulation as well. So you will have intermittent feeling of hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia in a very short period of time. We call it spike and crash. Okay, this will cause the insulin to be fatigued. Okay, it's so tired. They are so tired. They are like, oh, suddenly you need so much. Suddenly I need to come, and then suddenly I am in excess. Just like when I don't even have time to react, I'm already in excess, and then suddenly I need to come again because a lot of us tend to eat very big portion of carbs. Remember your nasi lemak? The rice is normally the main portion. I think the chicken is only the side dish. Usually, we end up eating nasi a lot. So this causes our insulin to be fatigued, and this leads to insulin resistance. Next. Okay, the blood sugar roller coaster is what I highlight. And what is insulin resistance? I think Wenjing did give a brief summary just now. So insulin resistance is a state where your cells in your muscles, fat, and liver don't respond well to insulin, and they can't easily take up glucose from the blood. Okay, this is because the main organs that make glucose will be our muscle, fat, and liver. Okay, and when they don't respond to insulin, they don't take it. So how would I say? Normally, we'll always say that the glucose, okay, is the I kind of like say in your body. Okay, so they're in your body circulating. Okay, and then you need the insulin, which is the key. Okay, and then the key to fit the door part. The door is normally at the muscles or at the fat or the liver, but you need the insulin to open it. Without it, you couldn't enter. Just like sometimes when you get locked out of your house, no matter how frustrated you are, you just need the key. Okay, and then that's the insulin. Okay, so what is insulin resistant? It means that you have glucose in your body. Okay, and then you have a lot of insulin in your body as well. But because they detect glucose, so they will be producing. But the problem is when the key goes to the door lock, it doesn't really fit well, or the door just doesn't respond. Your door doesn't have a battery, those electronic doors, or your key is just the shape is not correct. It just doesn't fit properly into the door. And then there's no way without the key that your cells, which in your glucose, can enter your cells. This is the state of insulin resistance. Okay, next. So your cells are in constant hunger, but does that mean that you don't have sugars? You have a lot of them, but they just couldn't enter your cells. So where does the sugar stay? They stay in your blood. You have plenty of sugars there, but they just don't work. So like diabetes patient, what do? We test their blood, and then we know that there's a lot of sugar. Why? It's because their glucose doesn't enter the place that they should go. They are just like outlying in a street, outlying in outlet. Okay. So how do you know when you have insulin resistance? Okay. Insulin resistance people normally crave for high carb diet. Okay, they're constantly hungry, and then they need a lot of high carb diet. They just crave for carb. Okay, and then if you test your sugar, your blood, your glucose is constantly high. Okay, and then of course you wouldn't be able to see your insulin spike. Your body will have a constantly high supply of insulin. Okay, but the cells are just starving; they couldn't get it. Okay, and then so you have hunger and craving, and then you will be tired because you couldn't utilize the glucose. You don't have energy. Remember, our brain, they need glucose as their source of energy, so they couldn't get it. But you're eating, and then they still couldn't get it. You just have a lot of them lying in your blood. Okay, and then you will also you will start to develop symptoms of type 2 diabetes, okay, like frequent infection. You start to get fat, okay, because you have to eat a lot to satisfy it, okay. And then you even have symptoms like high cholesterol, high blood pressure coming in. So this is the state of insulin resistance, and it's still reversible before. Even diabetes is reversible, but it's good that if you detect it earlier. Next. Okay, so fat accumulate. Okay, people like this normally, typically, they will have a very high heat waste ratio, waste and heat ratio. Okay, I think this is a gold standard for WHO now to detect your risk of developing a cardiovascular disease. They ask us to measure our waste heat ratio. Okay, it's actually the gold standard compared to BMI. So a lot of people have fat accumulation around their visceral organs. Just now remember we mentioned about visceral adipose tissue, and this represent as your belly fat. So these are actually very high risk factor for your cardio, for your heart, okay, and also for your brain. Okay, and then another thing is that this is actually not those ducky. Okay, it's actually acanthosis nigricans, where you present as you're having blackish discoloration. These are sign of insulin resistance. Next. Okay, so insulin resistance, okay, but is a late next. Okay? I think the words come out. Yes, it actually causes type 2 diabetes. Okay, it has a lot of linkage to it, but essentially, excess fat in our body, the excess, they will actually accumulate around our organ, okay, causing excess visceral adipose tissue. This excess adipose tissue, in particular, we have a lot of excess within our liver, okay, especially when you're taking high carbohydrate. Okay, remember, excess carbohydrate is called fat. With excess lipid in your liver, okay, it actually causes you to have is a high risk factor for you to develop insulin resistance. And insulin resistance will cause type 2 diabetes. So this is the linkage of it happening. Okay, and what's wrong with having diabetes? Next. What's wrong with having diabetes? So what? Okay, so we are now going into the second part, which is the diabetes. So how does uncontrolled diabetes damage you? Again, obesity. Just now we see that how is obesity interlinked? How it affect the multiple organs in our body? And you can see now with diabetes, it's even more scarier than what we think. And then when you tell someone that, hey, actually, I'm like what I always see in my hospital, Pakcik ada diabetes or Pakcik, do you know you have diabetes? And then their reaction will be, yeah, I know, so. And then they don't even take their medication, they don't even take care of their diet. Even if they require insulin, masa saya ingat saya cucuk lah. All of them are like that, They don't think diabetes is a disease, surprisingly. They think diabetes is just, something you can have in your bag, it's fine. You have it, everyone has diabetes. But no, guys, you guys are still young. That's why we are here today. We want to tell you that diabetes is not something that you should have in your 30s or 40s, which a lot of youngsters start to have nowadays. So how does uncontrolled diabetes damages you? Okay, I'll tell you the story. I'll bring you through the story of the blood sugar in your body. Okay, so what happened? You have a lot of sugar in your blood flowing around. Okay, but they just couldn't enter your cells because you have developed a state of insulin resistance. Okay, so imagine if you have a sugary drink spilled onto the table, what will happen? A lot of ants will start crawling. You have a pool of ants. What if, imagine it happening in your body, you have a lot of sugar in your blood. What comes? Okay, it's attack bacteria. For sure. Okay, so they are very immunocompromised. Okay. Secondly, how does it affect them? Okay. First, high blood glucose actually damages the blood vessels' elasticity. So that means they couldn't really function as well. It damages the blood vessels. So when you damage something, the small blood vessels start to get affected first. So what gets affected? The eye blood vessels. So you have a lot of patients, even for diabetic, they need to have regular, yearly, annual eye screening. Why? Because they develop diabetic retinopathy, most commonly seen. Okay, they have macular edema, they have cataracts, glaucoma, and then this is their eyesight. They can't really see well. They will thought that they have, those, what do we call it? Like some black things just moving around. We call them floaters around their eyesight. Okay, so this first affects the smallest vessel in our body, one of the smallest vessels, which is the eyes. Okay. Second, it will go to slightly larger but also small vessels, which is the kidneys. Okay, which is the kidneys. So that's why a lot of patients end up having protein in their urine, and then they couldn't really get rid of the waste material in their body because kidney get rid of all the waste in our body. So they will require dialysis. Don't look down at dialysis. Actually, a lot of patients are very afraid to go on regular dialysis because, to be honest, if you are one of them, you will notice that dialysis changes your life completely. It's just different living with dialysis. Okay, you will be surprised to know that a lot of them would rather die than go through dialysis. It's how scary it is. It's not as fun as sitting there for hours. It actually changes your life, and it's not a very comfortable process to go through because you have to be sitting long hours, and then your blood pressure will drop because you need to wash your blood. So that means a portion of blood goes out, and then it has to come back cleansed, and then comes back via a machine. So it's not a particularly interesting or fun or something good for you to go through. Okay, so it affects your kidney. Yeah, smaller vascular structure, blood vessels in our body. Okay, then the worst thing, it affects our nerves because of high blood glucose. So after it starts to affect your nerves, what happened? Let me tell you the story of a typical diabetic patient. Okay, what happened is that with a high sugar content, it affects their nerves and their feeling. Okay, and then most importantly, they lose the feeling of their legs. It's very common for us. If you feel a cut in your finger, of course you feel it more painful compared to your leg. Okay, because the leg is further, and then their nerve structures are not as extensive compared to the hand. Our hand we can do micro things with the hand, which we can't do with our leg. So when you feel a cut in your hand, of course it's more painful than feeling it at your leg. Okay, so after you feel it in your leg, they start to lose their sensory. Even in normal people without high blood glucose, we don't really feel what's happening with our legs compared to our hands. Imagine it with a diabetic patient which has sensory motor neuropathy. So that means they have peripheral neuropathy. That means they really couldn't feel it. So they will walk through broken glass, and then they didn't feel that they cut their legs. They only feel it maybe 3 minutes later. So for us, our normal reaction will be cut ourselves, we will say, ouch, and then we'll go away. But for them, they'll be, oh, I cut my leg, they didn't feel it, and they'll be like, ouch, after 3 minutes. Imagine how deep the cut will be. So first, they couldn't really feel. They have deeper cuts compared to people because they don't really feel it in time to avoid that. Okay, so having deeper cut, then the problem cut. Remember how I say the blood glucose, how does it affect our blood vessels? Okay, so imagine when we have a wound. Okay, normally what will happen? It will happen when we have a wound, our bloods will all just direct all the nutrients there to repair it, kill off the bacteria, then it's wound healing. But for them, their blood vessels are compromised because of the high blood glucose, so the nutrients can't really flow there. So they can't really feel it. They have the wound, they have bigger wound than others, and then they can't really repair the wound because they don't have nutrients flowing there. This is the problem. This is the first set of problems. Again, they have venous hypertension, okay, because of their impaired blood vessels. So the blood vessels can't lose their elasticity. They can't really pump the blood back. So they have venous pooling in their leg. So causing the blood vessels to be especially, exaggerated. Imagine a lot of fluid in something, you feel your blood vessels are very tight. Even your skin are tight. So this will even cause them to, normal walking. So a lot of their wounds start from their plantar surface of their foot. Why? Because even normal walking, even normal pressure with the shoes will cause them to develop ulcers. So they are more prone to more ulcers. Then no wound recovery. Bacteria aggregating there because of venous pooling and also a lot of sugar there. So this is how the vicious cycle starts, wound coming on, not healing, and then because of that, more bacteria, even worse wound, and then even impaired wound healing. The vicious cycle starts. So they may come in with the small ulcers, and then they will start to have gangrenous toe because no nutrients can go there, the wound is bad, and then it will come with full smelling discharge. Guys, the worst thing you will get in emergency department is a full smelling, very smelly food coming to you. And if it's still salvageable, we are very happy to do it. But the worst thing is normally come in black. Wet and black, guys. Wet and black. It's so smelly that at the first wait, you can smell it outside the emergency department. That's so bad. Okay? So with that food, what we have to do, we can no longer save it. We have to save the other toes. So we amputate. But guys, it doesn't stop there, unfortunately. A lot of patients, if they get to this stage, they don't have the awareness since young. So they don't change their eating habit, they don't take their medication, or they just don't take care of their body, they will come back with more amputation. So after the toes, okay, this is called ray amputation, the one only cutting away the toes. And then it will proceed to transmetatarsal amputation, which is to cut away all the toes. Okay. After transmetatarsal, it still doesn't happen, we do a BKA for you. Okay, sounds very cool, but it's actually a below knee amputation. So after the below knee amputation, it still doesn't resolve, you proceed to above knee amputation. It all started from an ulcer, guys, and it all started from diabetes. So is diabetes scary or not? And when you don't have a leg, you don't walk, and then more diseases start to come, and then you start to become fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. This is called the vicious cycle, and it all starts from controlling your diabetes. Okay? Other than that, it will actually also cause a lot of, it's a modern disease nowadays. A lot of dentists are seeing this in more and more of our population, which is called periodontitis or gingivitis. Okay, it actually causes a lot of tooth decay and cavities. Okay, and after all those small vessels, a lot of diabetic patients come with heart attack and stroke. They start to affect your bigger blood vessels. This is how scary diabetes can be. Next. Okay, so other consequences of too much sugar, you have glycation and skin aging as well. So yes, do you know what a lot of artists, a lot of Korean stars, they don't even take sugar and they limit their carbohydrate a lot. Okay, later Wenjin will talk more about how do you treat. But why do they limit sweet food? Because they don't want to get the glycation. A lot of sugar actually just cause you to have earlier than your friends. Okay, and for children, it will cause you to have ADHD if you give them sweet since young. Next. So how does it affect children? Again, it's this blood sugar roller coaster. Okay, so what does the child feel? Initially, they get sugar, they have a spike. You know, they feel very energetic, I'm very happy, and then they have the crash. They feel very tired. You know, they are like, oh my god, I'm so tired. They feel low, they feel weak, they feel shaky. So what they do? They eat again more sugar. So they want the spike. So it's just a vicious cycle of avoiding the crash, getting the spike, and then getting the crash again. Okay, so your child will be very irritable again because of this. Irritable child, fatigued child, poor concentration, and very low productivity. It all start from the food that we give our children. Next. Okay, and the scary thing is that the sugar is a sugar addiction cycle. Same like what the child is craving, it happens to us adults too. We like it, we crave it. We always say that desserts are the opposite of stress. So let's take sugar. Okay. So what happens? You crave it, you like it, and then you have the blood sugar spike. Okay. So your brain likes it, this spike, it will release dopamine, telling you that, oh, I love it. Okay. So you will remember it's something good. You don't actually reject it when you see it. Okay. And then after the spike comes the crash again. And then your body once lost high, so they want more sugar. So you have more hunger and more craving. So with this sugar addiction, it actually leads to obesity and then diabetes. So what I would really want you to tell, all of this is actually a vicious cycle happening, and we must cut it from the start. Next. Okay, and so after knowing how scary a disease can be, I can not find a person that is better than Wenjin to tell you on healthy tips for healthy carbs, because she's one of the most disciplined. Okay, and with her being so busy as a nurse, I'll always say a nurse schedule is so scary. They are so busy working in Singapore, far away from home, but she's able to find time to cook in easy and simple and healthy way. So I would like to invite her back to the floor to tell us how do we choose carbs and how can we eat healthily, especially for the younger population. How do we do it instead of just eating out? Welcome, Vijay.
Thank you, Dr. Siming. That is a very good insight on what sugar can actually cause to our body. Okay, so let me take you through what are the few steps that we can do in order to choose a healthy carbohydrate. First, let us be aware of the hidden sugar in our daily diet. Okay, why I use this as a first step because there are so many patients that came to me. Of course, it's post cardiac attack. Okay, which if they are lucky, they have some pain and then they feel that they have difficulty in breathing, and they are lucky enough to be able to consciously go into the fluoroscopy room and to undergo to put on some stent and be able to come out again, and I get to see that. Or if not, they will actually normally have a heart attack at the roadside and be found by a passerby, whether they are lucky or not to actually get a CPR and then are they go to into ICU. So for those that are actually able to talk to them, they actually never don't have any other underlying diseases other than diabetes. So many of them actually will always ask me, nurse, Missy, I ask you, how come I can actually get a heart attack? Very weird, my family, I don't have family history, right? I only got diabetes, okay lah. Okay, but I always explain to my patient, or like what Dr. Simi has explained earlier on, and they say, no lah, I think I've been taking okay only leh. I didn't take any other funny thing leh. I eat rice within one bowl only leh. I okay what? But later on, when you see what their family member brought to them, right, then you realize that, oh, okay, so that's all the things that they have been taking, and they did not know that actually all those simple food that they have been taking actually contains a lot of sugar. So let's go into what are some of the hotspots for the hidden sugar. First is that there are so many brands out there that claim themselves actually have it's actually originally they are made from cereal, but it's just that they actually have been added a lot of sugar, okay, or even some colorings to actually make them nice. Okay, for example, some of the and brand outside there, okay, so they are tasty, but I actually have a lot of hidden sugar and kids love it, okay. So if you are a parent out there, okay, or if you still like it at this point of time, please learn how to stop it and then to recognize all these hidden sugar. Second thing is a barbecue sauce, okay. It's not just barbecue sauce, but also your tomato sauce, your chili sauce. So these are the sauce that is yummy-licious, especially you dip it together with your fries. It's yummy, I know, okay, but they actually have got a lot of sugar in it because if you look at your sauce, what actually makes them so thick and then so yummy? That is because it contains a lot of sugar, okay, to thicken it. Okay, that's what makes them thick and nice. Alright, and the third thing is the flavored yogurt. So many people tell me that they like to eat yogurt that is because they have a good probiotic things like that. But I always say chop chop chop. Let me ask you, are you taking a flavored yogurt or it's just an original flavor, which is like a Greek yogurt? So a lot of people say that they feel very disgusted by taking the original flavored yogurt. So what I can suggest is if you really don't think that you can take the taste of the original yogurt itself, maybe you can add on things like honey, okay, but of course in a moderate amount, okay, to make it tastier, or add in fruits, okay, fruits makes your yogurt tasty, and also it gives a natural source of sugar as well. Okay, and the fourth thing is the muesli bar. A lot of people will go out there, especially go to Giant, Just Go to actually take a muesli bar over the counter and see that they're actually so convenient, especially after you have hit the gym, right? You feel like, muesli bar is the easiest way, convenient way to actually help you to solve the hunger problem at that point of time. So it contains cereals, it contains a lot of nuts and all right. It looks yummy, right? It looks healthy, right? Okay, but have you ever thought of when you buy it, okay, what does it make the sticky thing and then the thing that's pulling it? That's actually sugar. Okay, so if not learn how to actually read your nutritional label, then you realize that the sugar that it contains is actually very high. Okay, all those canned tomato soup, okay, they also actually contains a lot of sugar, and also orange juice, which we will actually talk about it later on. Why is that so? It is dangerous. Okay. So there's also another one. I'm not sure if there's any bubble tea lover here. I was once a bubble tea lover with Dr. Simi. Okay. Okay. So what happened is that this black sugar bubble tea is yummy. But there is this research from Singapore actually show that this black sugar bubble tea actually one regular size of it is equivalent to 3 cans of Coca-Cola. Okay,
Is it my problem or my problem? Apologies, Miss Lin. I think your mic is muted. It is quite
can you hear
soft.
me?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Where was I? The bubble tea, is it?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Okay. Yeah, so if you have this thought of choosing bubble tea, right, let's put a stop and let's rethink about this, okay? And there is this popular statement from my patient. They always say, Missy, I don't take extra sugar. So I tell them, I ask them, what do you take normally? So they tell me, apart from the orange juice in the morning, I have coffee and then tea throughout the day. And then the Coca-Cola that I have is actually zero sugar one. I never even touch any sugar. So in their mind, they actually have been thinking that the sugar must be come from those extra one that they actually added on into their food or their drinks. Okay, but sadly to say that actually the coffee that you drink, actually those mere minimal sugar that you add on, right? Minimal when they add on together is actually an excessive amount of sugar that you actually are taking. So if you are one of these, or let's reflect again, actually are you taking excessive sugar? Not only that, just now I mentioned about nutritional label, right? Okay, so there are many added sugar, okay, that are actually given many other nicknames as well. Okay, so when you look into the nutritional label, sometimes it may claim that they have zero sugar, but let's look into the other name like the sucrose, fructose, glucose, dextrose, or even agave nectar. So these are the names. It's just a replacement for the sugar that you've seen on the nutritional label. Okay, so let's be more sensitive about it. And the second thing is that learn how to take your whole fruits. Okay, so fiber is definitely our savior. And why is that so? So, for example, if you are going to make a 1 cup of fruit juice, right, orange juice, for example, in order to make it into one full cup like this, you definitely will add about 4 to 5 oranges like that, and you will find it so yum and so concentrated. It gives you a lot of vitamin C, right? But sadly to say that there are actually a lot of sugar in it as well. Let's look on the picture on the right there. If you are taking 1 cup of juice, which is equivalently around
Apologies for interrupting, Miss Lim. I think that your mic is facing some problems.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So sorry about that. Yeah, so let's look into the picture on your right side here, right? You can actually see that the raw orange juice here give you a much higher calories, okay, whereby the fiber itself are actually much lesser because a lot of people don't like the texture of fiber after being blended into the fruit juices. But in fact, if you take it together with the fiber, it gives you a lesser it will actually help you to curb the sugar to actually go up so high in your body. Okay, and whereas if you take it as a full whole food itself, right, the vitamin C of amount is actually much higher compared to a raw orange juice. So learn how to take your whole fruit. And then another thing is learn how to keep your skin. A lot of people will say that like, I want to peel off the skin. Okay, then only I take the apple. Okay, so let's look into alternative way to actually how to wash your apple skin thoroughly and cleanly, just so that you can keep the skin together because it does not just only provide you fiber, but also give you a lot of phytonutrients as well. So if you're having an apple with
whole skin, right? Okay, it actually contains 2.4 grams of fiber, whereas if you take off the skin, it's only left with about 1.3, which is about half of it only. Okay, so learn how to take your fruits with the skin. Okay, and a lot of people will say that like, if I want to control my sugar, right, so might as well I learn how to avoid, especially those who is doing weight management one. But starting to say that if you are doing weight management and or you are wanting to increase your muscles in your body, right, guys out there, okay, you must learn how to choose your carbohydrate. So choose it but not to avoid, because especially when you are building muscles, you require all these good carbohydrates, okay, in order to help you to build up the glycogen. And the glycogen will actually serve as the main thing for your muscles as well. So learn how to take your carbohydrate. First is that learn say no to sugar. Learn how to say no to sugar. Okay. And the second thing is that look for natural and healthy substitutes for sugars like your honey, your dates, okay, and complex carbohydrates like oats, brown rice, okay, as we have mentioned earlier on in this session. Just for more water, okay, plain water as much as possible. Okay, the withdrawal syndrome is very bad, I know. Okay, from you looking for sugar every day, okay, then not taking any sugar, right? I think it's very difficult, but let's try to control, because I think we are here today to actually learn something. So let's start telling yourself to make a small change tomorrow. Okay, to consume more water than those sweetened drinks. Okay, if not, you can actually go for other alternatives like those sugar-free drink, but also of course be careful with the whether they actually have the other names, okay, for the sugar or not. And then last but not least, to actually learn how to take your fruits. Especially remember to eat the skin and also take your whole fruits, because especially when you are in stress, you crave for sugar, okay, that is just an impulsive kind of thought and also action. So learn how to curb it by just taking maybe just a banana first or an apple first. After all those chewing and breathing already, ask yourself again, do you still need that piece of donut or not? Okay, you will realize that most of the time actually you do not need it anymore. Okay, and the last but not least, the method that I'm going to share with you is that your cooking method and also your portion methods too. So recently, Dr. Simi and I and another bunch of friends, we are so passionate to actually not just sharing some healthy knowledge, okay, and a healthy platform as well. We are also doing this platform that is mainly teaching people how to do healthy meal prep, and we make it easy for you, especially to understand that not just students but also working adults. I think it's very difficult for us to actually juggle between work, studies, and then so many other house chores that we need to do as well. So over here, actually, I have learned a lot from all those teachers as well. We learn how to make everything in one pot in the oven. Okay, and these are some of the fruits, the food that I actually made as well. And you can see very obvious is that I actually been doing it following the healthy plate method. And I realized that by choosing the right carbohydrates, okay, and also with following the appropriate amount as well, maybe the portion, it actually helps me to lose down my weight effortlessly. Okay, but of course your cooking method too, and that comes together with your exercise as well. When you can choose stir fried, then don't go for deep fried food. Okay, so always go for a better one. And this last photo is the one that I actually tapao from the economic rice as well. Because I always tell people, if you find it difficult to actually for you to eat healthy, right? Go for economic rice, but of course don't take the gravy, and then learn how to get the appropriate amount and choose the right food as well and the cooking method. Okay, so this is what it goes when it comes to weight management, come to before we go into obesity. So it's very much depends on the calories that we eat, and that also correlates with the portion and the way how we eat as well. Okay, so last but not least, I'm going to hand it back to Dr. Singh again to tell us about the 6 pillars of optimal health. Thank you, Dr. Singh.
Okay, so actually ending our session, just recap of what we have covered today. Quickly about the basic of what is carbohydrate. Okay, how do we digest or utilize them in our body? What are their functions? Why do we need them? Okay, it's one of the macronutrients that we need to survive. Okay, and are they the different types of carbohydrate available, and how do they affect our body through their glycemic index? So we have brought you through this. We have also introduced you to obesity and also diabetes, and how they are interlinked with your carbohydrate intake. Okay, and then furthermore, Wenjing has also brought you through tips on healthy carbs. You know how to choose your carbohydrates, because we can never avoid carbohydrates. First, it's the most abundant form of food. Secondly, we need them as a major source of energy, so we have to choose them wisely. Okay, so how do we choose? How do we eat? And how do we go around it? Okay, because I always believe that fitness is a lifelong journey. So before I end our session, I would just like to have a quick reminder to everyone about the 6 pillars of optimal health. Next. So basically, in order for you to achieve optimal health, you need all of these 6 pillars, abbreviated as EARTH. So E covers eating habit and exercise. And then, so eating habit is what Wenjing has covered extensively. A lot of people say actually your health, 70% to 80% actually depends on your eating habit. And it's definitely true. And why are we telling you this today? All of you here, because you all are so young. Okay, you have to try. If I look back 10 years ago, what I will tell myself is that I must start to have a good eating habit since young. And so everyone here today, we hope that through this session, and which is why we are so passionate about public health awareness, is for all of you to start developing a good eating habit since young. And you can start today just by changing a small decision in your life. Okay, so first, eating habit. Okay, and second will be exercise, the second E. It covers around 20 to 30% of your optimal health journey. And I think one of the exercise session will be covered by one of our very, which is also my brother, Candy, is actually a part-time fitness coach that he will cover about exercise tomorrow. So I'll leave this with you. Okay, so A is about mental attitude. You must always stay positive and have the right attitude. You must believe that you're doing this for your health and you don't feel like being forced to do it. So this is very important. Okay, the fourth one is R, which stands for rest. 6 to 7 hours of sleep is very important. It's a time you must have deep REM sleep as well. And this time our body detox, rebuilds, and rejuvenate. So it's very important. Don't ever look down at sleep. N stands for nutrition. Okay, we are all very busy people. I believe students nowadays are also very busy. And then even Wenjing and myself, we are so busy in hospital. And how do we juggle around? Is if you find that you cannot eat 5 calculus per day, you don't have enough veggie per day. Maybe nutrition. Find some nutrition that is natural and good. Fill in the nutritional gap. Okay, because it helps supplements a healthy diet and increase the effectiveness of building the healthy lifestyles. Okay, so and also have the knowledge to understand about nutrition, which is very important. Especially we are all a lot of us here are future doctors, pharmacists, nurses, nutritionists. Nutrition plays a vital role in preventive medicine. Okay, and S, which the last one, which a lot of people neglected, is actually stress control. You know yourself well the most, so be aware of your stress, what causes you to be stressful, and you know yourself the best, so know what helps you to live it. Some goes for exercise, some go for a movie night. It all depends on you yourself. Okay, next. Okay, also, just a gentle reminder, what you can start today is to practice a healthy plate. A lot of people do it, which is what KKM is doing as well. Quarter health, suku separuh. Okay, half of it should be fruits and vegetables. 1/4 is whole grain. 1/4 is meats, proteins. Either it's meat, tofu, eggs, the healthy source of protein. Okay, so this is how we eat every day. And beware of the portion. Remember, if you want to lose weight, you must actually have calorie deficit. And then, of course, if you want to muscle build, you can eat more, but be aware of the portion and the cooking method as well. Next. Okay, and just a gentle reminder to all, remember, fitness is always, even your optimal health, is 20 to 30% exercise and 80% nutrition. You can never outrun your fork. Tomorrow, Kenny will explain a lot on how actually, no matter how hard you exercise, it's just 500 calories. And one Big Mac Coke is already 400 calories. You can never outrun your fork. Next. Okay? And eating crappy food, tell your brain, educate your brain, it's not a reward, it's a punishment. Trust me. Especially when you're stressful, then you start putting up weight, that's disaster. Next. Okay? And choose your carbs wisely. And remember, I always tell my patient, okay, when you're sick, look for the doctor. 生病找医生. 健康靠自己 but take your health into your own hands. And it all starts by having this kind of public awareness campaign because it educates us with knowledge, and knowledge is power. It's power, but you must have the wisdom to execute it too. So we would really like to thank Quest University for this amazing, and you have been doing it second, I don't know how many years, but it's the second year and in a row to educate the public, and I applaud you for this amazing effort in doing so. And by here, I'm ending our session here tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. And remember, if you'd like to know more about public health knowledges, do give us a thumbs up and like in our Health Diary Instagram or Facebook. Because we have very limited time here today. So if you'd like to explore more knowledge, do visit us, and then you can have a lot more insight today. And by then, you can have more knowledge as well. Okay? I thank all of you for your attention tonight. I thank Wenjing for the amazing partnership, and I thank Quest University for this amazing opportunity. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Dr. Chin and Ms. Lim. That was a very informative talk with a helpful tip at the end. I'm sure the audience has learned a lot from this talk. At the same time, I'm sure that there are a lot of questions revolving around this talk since it is quite captivating. So I think it's time we open the floor to the audience for any questions they might have. So feel free to comment down the questions below in the chat box or comment section. I will be monitoring the questions and passing it to Dr. Chin or Ms. Lim. Any questions? Here is a question from Mara Krishnan. Okay. Is taking a cup of hot water with honey in an empty stomach good?
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, definitely. I think there's no harm by just taking this hot water with honey. Okay, but I think definitely it's boiling hot water. Okay, because it will also destroy some of the nutrients in the honey as well. Then how to take just lukewarm or maybe slightly warm kind of water with honey? I think that should be fine. But of course, just be careful with your portion as well. Not just taking it 3 times per day. Okay, or either half cup of the honey as well. Okay, yeah, I think moderation is the key.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. Okay, we have a long question from Chanura. Apologies if I pronounce your name wrong. Okay, so some people do not eat the skin of some fruits because they say there are some preservatives applied on them. Is this true? And if yes, how do we overcome this problem?
Okay, I will answer this. Okay, yes. Okay, it's true. Especially nowadays, everything has a lot of preservative. A lot of those berries, especially strawberries, how those pesticides like them, they do have a lot of preservative, unfortunately. Okay, but we do actually can overcome this because I would say, okay, fruits is a very good source of carbohydrate. Okay, of course, if you have diabetes or you are prone, you need to nick and feed your fruits as well, not too much very high glycemic index fruits. But if you are young and you are healthy and then you crave some sugars, go for fruits at all means. They have a lot of phytonutrients and vitamins. But how do we tackle this pesticide thing? I would never give up fruits because of the pesticide, because I think fruits is so good, you get what I mean? So what you can do, there's actually some products out in the market, okay? Look for good products, of course, because you want to wash out the pesticides that actually helps in washing fruits and vegetables through natural ingredient ways. I do use this myself. So you can clean the skin, and then they actually help with the pesticides. And then those layers of, a lot of fruit, they want to make it pretty, they do apply a layer of thing out there. It helps to get rid of it. So you can look for this product out there, and then it may be good for you to wash the vegetables.
Thank you, Dr. Chin. We have a few more questions. I will start off with this. So for diabetic patients, is it better to take fruits before or after a meal?
Maybe I will answer this question, doctor. Okay, so for diabetic patient, I think I should be saying this not diabetic patient only, but especially for diabetic patient. Okay, I should be saying like this. Generally, if you want to take fruits before or after meal, I think that is subjected to whether how comfortable you are, especially after taking it. Because some people, especially the Chinese, always say that if they take it before their meal, they will find it a bit windy. Okay, but especially for diabetic patient, I think that is what is more concerning is the glycemic index. Then, yeah, so it's rather on the glycemic index of the fruit that you are taking, especially like grapes. Okay, because grapes is actually very high in sugar. Okay, so rather is also the glycemic index and also the portion itself is the one that actually makes the difference. So I think before or after meal that should be fine, but rather is the GI index and also the amount itself.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. We have a question from Stephen. So what harm will aspartame bring to us since it is a replacement for sugar?
Okay, I can answer this. Okay, actually aspartame is an artificial sweetener. It's a very popular one actually. You can see a lot of out there are using aspartame. Okay, and then they claim that it wouldn't actually but apparently because it's the most studied sweetener, there are some studies actually cannot be in if you take very high concentration. That means if you're taking a lot, does actually is detrimental to your health, to your heart. A lot of research are recently coming out of that. Okay, so what will I advise? Okay, if you are looking for alternatives for sugar, for myself, I'll definitely go for Wenjing recommendation just now. Try to go for fruits, or even when you're craving both healthier version of carbohydrate. Okay, and try to have a habit of eating things in the less sweet manner since young. It actually helps a lot. Someone with the habit of eating less sweet, actually, if you give them 100% sugar concentration, then you'll be, oh my god, this is so sweet. So it's important to train your tongue as well. Okay, and if you couldn't avoid it, aspartame may be better than taking a lot of bubble tea sugars. Okay, but don't make it a regular habit. Try to make and choose. Take it when you need it sometimes, but be aware of that. It may be detrimental to your health and be cautious of it. Okay, that is what I would advise.
Thank you for the answer, Dr. Chin. We have another question from the audience. So, is it a good idea to consume one meal per day to lose weight?
Actually, it is not. Okay, what I would say so is that first let's look into whether you have an underlying gastric issue or not, or even if you do not have. Okay, by just consuming one meal per day itself, that is too little for you, especially if your body wants to carry out its appropriate functions at its optimum level. You require a certain calories in order for your body to be able to absorb and to function. Moreover, if let's say you are taking too little of your calories, you are actually lowering down your metabolism rate. Okay, which in turn later on when you are too hungry, okay, and you feel that you can't resist this idea of taking just one meal a day, it may be a impulsive eating, okay, which will then later on cause you to actually unable to control your diet, or you feel guilty after your diet, and it will cause the eating disorder later on. So actually, it's not advisable to take one meal a day, okay, because you may end up with either eating disorder or maybe some gastric issue as well. What we would suggest is actually take your meals at the appropriate time, which is like 3 meals in a day, okay, or either 2 meals, but it's subjected to how you are actually eating them. And also the calories control is the one that is actually key to actually help you to in weight management.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. Okay, we have a question from Mara Krishnan. So how to help overweight or obese children to overcome it?
Okay, I'll take this. Okay, so I always believe that no matter what we do, it starts from ourselves. So if you really want to help the children in your family or anyone around you, start from yourself first. So especially they will say the mother actually control the health of the family is truly evidence from this. So start from yourself, start to eat healthily, start to use the susu plate, maybe start to cook more at home, try to meal prep at home, try to choose healthier version for the house, then it will start from you. Okay. For children, okay, I think first they need to see you to live. You have to live by example, so they see an example. What you eat, they eat. What you do, they do. Okay. Second is start to give them the idea of having healthier food. Give them healthier alternative. Try to meal prep things nice. A lot of people associate healthy with being with not tasty. Healthy to crap food. Healthy to oh my god, terrible tasting vegetable. Change their opinion on this. You can make healthy food very nice too. You use herbs and spices. Wendy is a pro in this. You can check her out on Health Diary how does she cook. Okay, and then use herbs and spices. Use alternative, make it colorful, and also one thing the third one will be good is then bring them to public health awareness talk. You know, there's a lot of public health awareness nowadays, and educate them, give them knowledge. Then as they grow, they will start to apply, and then of course give them the habit in their life to follow as well. I think this is pretty important. And sorry about just now the question that Wenjing answered just now about the 1 meal per day. If Kurtani is looking for fitness, like what should you do? Okay, it's very important to first equip yourself with the knowledge, like what Wenjing said just now. I totally agree with all her saying about the calorie. Don't just cut your meal 1 per day. You can schedule it around 2 meals per day or 3 meals per day because personally I only take 2 meals per day every day. But just a reminder, add on to what Wenjing said just now. If you're only taking 2 meals per day, you actually need to have some nutritional supplementation to help you to overcome the hunger and also the nutritional gap. Because you may be taking less and then become malnourished in certain place. You don't be surprised. A lot of adults are actually malnourished in certain sense. So it's very important to keep that in mind as well.
Thank you for the answer, Dr. Chin. I think we can all agree that the talk is quite interesting due to the overwhelming questions from the audience. Okay, so here's another one. Is gardenia white bread simple carbohydrate, and is it really bad for us?
Maybe I'll take this. Okay, so actually, bread itself, right? Let's look into the bread itself, right? It's actually a complex carbohydrate. Okay, meaning that it will still take a longer time to actually help us to break down and then for our body to absorb as well. But it's just that when you have a choice of having a white bread, okay, and also a wholemeal bread itself, right, whole grain bread itself, right, go for the one that they're able to give you a higher amount of fiber, okay, like a whole grain bread itself, because it will actually, remember what we said, when you keep the fiber, it will actually help give you a gradual increase in your blood sugar as comparing to a white bread. And a lot of white bread out there, they may be containing other components itself to make them look tastier, okay, or even look more attractive to you, like white bread. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's my answer for this.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. We have a question from Mankit Lee. What is the right amount of portion of desserts if we are about to consume them, if we are to stay healthy too?
Wenjing, do you want to take this or you want to take this?
Can you take this also? Okay, so for desserts, I think it's also very much depends on what is the natural source. What is the main ingredient, the core ingredient that you actually use to make them first? Okay. Secondly, is that if let's say you tend to buy it over the counter, okay, then go for those turn around and then look at the back to actually see what is the nutritional, what's the nutrition label tells you. Okay, what is the amount? Okay, so what I always tell people is that if you are able to make it yourself, then make it yourself. Then okay, if not, then when you look into the nutritional label, then you will know that for example, if you have a calorie limitation for yourself, how much you should be taking, then you will know where you should be put a stop at. Okay, but if not, when you're making it yourself, go for the alternative, like what we said earlier on just now, put honey in order to replace like the white sugar, and then you can put on dates in order to actually replace other white sugar as well. Okay, so there is always an alternative for that, and then go for a moderation amount. If let's say you have one bowl, it's do share with other people, okay? Because sharing is caring, and sharing is always needs the other as well. So, if together with your friends, okay, maybe it's just one bottle like that will do. If let's say you're making a healthier choice kind of version of this dessert as well, right? Then you can actually give you portion it nice yourself, and then learn how to take it just a little bit like that. And then you realize that if you don't take white sugar, right, the craving is actually much lesser.
And for Vian Han, just maybe something to help you off with a tip. I think it's good for you to observe if you are someone who doesn't really put on weight even with food. If genetically, there are people who are very blessed this way. So if you find that even if you snack in the midnight, you're fine with it. Of course, you must adhere to what Wendy say about healthy snacks. Sometimes it's not just about putting weight; it's about keeping yourself healthy as well. But if you don't really put on a lot of weight with that, you may get on with having midnight snack. But unfortunately, as you age, like me, during college year, university years, I can have a lot of midnight snack. But as you age, you wouldn't be able to. Unfortunately, you put on a lot of weight. You will notice it with midnight snack. It gets terrible. The kilograms just keep on shooting up. So what can you do? Okay, what do I do? Because sometimes when I study, I time, especially when you age, your metabolic rate start to get down. So what do I do is that normally I will try to change this habit if I can. Okay, but if you really get hungry during midnight, what I normally do is that I do drink protein drink, so I will get up and drink a cup of protein, a hot protein, and then it definitely stops the craving. Okay, so go for something healthier. If you're not someone who drinks protein, you can get some zero sugar soy milk keep in the fridge. Take some drink. Because drink, they are lower calories if you take the healthier version compared to food. And they are very filling. So you take that and then you can just go straight back to bed. So that is what I would advise.
Thank you for the answer. All right.
Yeah, and sorry, just cutting in. Snacking from fast food in the middle of the night is definitely a no-no. You will kill your liver. Your visceral fat will go crazy. So snacking is definitely no. And those simple sugar is definitely no at night. Okay? Your body needs to rest.
Thank you, Dr. Chin and Ms. Lim. Okay, so due to the time constraint, we will only answer 2 more questions. All right, so here's a question from Chanura. He actually has 2 questions. So the first one, what do you think is the best diet out there to lose weight?
Okay, I saw 2 of his questions. Maybe I take this. Okay, because I've been giving a lot of public health talks about this as well. Okay, Chanura, I think the first thing is that if you are not someone who really knows about getting this, what I would say, this fitness journey, if you're someone who's looking to get fit, you really need to go and take part in some programs that will definitely help because they will give you a lot of this knowledge to start off with. But generally, general advice, okay, there's no best diet that I can advise someone. But what we'll have in the market nowadays, let's see, is first, is calorie counting. That means they restrict the calorie to make sure that, because remember the scale that Wenjing showed just now, our input all depends on solely of the calories that we consume. Our output as thermic effect of food as the BMR, there are 3 different components. Okay, so your output you can try to juggle around it. So by increasing your BMR, you can actually get more muscles to increase your BMR, so you have more output. This kind of thing. I think Kenny will cover them tomorrow. Interesting session tomorrow. But firstly, there's calorie counting. Okay, so you must have deficit in order to lose your fat. Okay. Second, they have in the market, like a lot of people are doing is high protein diet. They take a lot of protein. Okay, there's also the keto diet, which was very popular at one point of time. But unfortunately, there has been a very reliable research that came out recently saying that keto diet is actually detrimental to your heart health, and then it actually caused, how to say, the heart diseases such as heart failure. They cause congestive heart failure. So this was the research out there. So keto diet is like getting unpopular right now. Okay, and also there's intermittent fasting, which has been quite popular nowadays, which is the one that you're asking as well. If you ask me myself, I don't think that's a simple one. It's better that you understand all four of them and take the best out of them. Personally, for me, I'm practicing intermittent fasting and also protein diet, a high protein diet and also calorie counting. So I'm essentially combining all three together. And what do? Intermittent fasting, the best picture about it is that it helps us to control the time that we eat, which indirectly control our calorie and indirectly control our input because you can only eat for 8 hours, nothing more. Okay? It does help in this way, especially for people who couldn't stop eating throughout the day if you're at home, especially during these COVID times. Okay? But another thing is that if it causes you to be in constant hunger and then you start to be unproductive, it's not something good as well. And then in constant hunger, you get to be irritated. And then for diabetic patients, totally not advisable to do intermittent fasting. They will get a lot of hypo episodes. And there's a lot of health issue like gastritis or, like if you're having gastric, you couldn't even do intermittent fasting. Okay, so there's restriction for intermittent fasting. But essentially, the best part of it is that you can restrict them and then your body will kind of go into the keto state at certain point, but not too much compared to keto diet. So they have the benefit of that. But downside is that, sometimes you get too hungry, difficult to maintain for a lot of people, cannot be done by diabetic patients. This is the bad part of it. So if, for example, what I improvise is that I think breakfast is very important to me, especially I start work at 5 a.m. and then in the hospital, and then if I don't take my breakfast, I couldn't work. So I just take a simple liquid-based protein, like I take my protein shake and also fruit juice with fiber. I blend them all together, those with skin together, and then I drink them. But there's no solid food for me in the morning. Okay, that's intermittent fasting for me. And then I only eat at around 2. So it's like a long hour for me. That's how I improvise the timing around my schedule. Okay. And then I also count my calorie as well, especially when I'm going on a weight management program. For example, I think I put on a lot of weight. If I want to slim down, then I'm at calorie deficit. So your cooking method, your calorie, your portion determines it all. So even if you do intermittent, you cannot do intermittent fasting solely without taking care of your food. It wouldn't work. You will just notice if it's that way, then in puasa month, everyone will cut weight, but it doesn't really happen. A lot of people actually put on weight during fasting month for our Muslim friends. So this is how you do your intermittent fasting matters a lot as well. The third one, of course, is always go for high protein diet. They have very high thermic effect of food. That means they actually do burn away calories in order to digest it in our bodies. So protein is a good source. And then and protein is very good for us skin-wise. All our cells are proteins, made out of protein. So proteins are a good source of it. So take more protein. But again, like what Wenjin reminded, doesn't mean that you cut on carbohydrate because carbohydrate help us to feel full and then it improves our craving as well. So again, do your suku separuh. That's what I would advise.
Thank you for the detailed answer, Dr. Chin. So here is the final question from the audience. What is your opinion about 16 hours fasting for diabetic patients?
I think just now Dr. Siming has mentioned about this. Actually, it's not really advisable for diabetic patients because it will actually likely to cause into hypoglycemia, which is low sugar for this diabetic patient. So it's not really advisable for this 16 hours fasting, which is the intermittent fasting. Or rather can go for calorie limitation and then high protein diet, but of course they're subjected to how is the person's diabetic situation like, whether has it really affected with the kidney or not. There's so many other considerations, but of course best is to consult your dietitian or maybe your doctors. You can even PM us in the health directory if it's fine as well. Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to Dr. Chin and Ms. Lin for their answers and the talk, as well as to the audience for their questions. So we have reached the end of this session, but before you take your leave, we are going to send a link in the chat box for you to test out your knowledge on the event. So please take note that prizes will be given to the top scorers, so please not temper the answers. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up day 1 of our campaign. We are so grateful for all your support, especially to those of you who have been tuning in since morning.
We are going to have 3 sections for tomorrow, starting with eating healthy experience from 2 to 3. followed by an online fitness section from 4 to 5:30, and ending with an online help talk from 8 to 9:30. We really do hope that you can take your time off your busy schedule to join us. Your attendance is deeply appreciated. Once again, a big thank you to the speakers and audience for joining us today.
Once again, I would like to remind everyone to participate in the Daily Walk Challenge. Make sure to subscribe and follow our page on Instagram and Facebook with the username @PHC2021_QRU. And also a reminder to all participants, please fill up the Google Form link for attendance to claim your CCA hours and CPD points. And not to forget, 2 lucky draw entries will be awarded to all participants for our closing ceremony. So make sure you fill out the form.
Our merchandise is also up for sale. Do not forget to check them out to get your merchandise today. And also a big thank you to HTM Pharmacy for sponsoring this event. The event will never be the same without your help. That is all for today. Have a good night rest, everyone. Thank you.